All right, today we're jumping into something really cool. It's a blueprint for a whole new way of thinking about digital ownership. We're going to look at a system that lets creators prove they made something, but without ever having to give up their identity. Let's see how they pull it off. This is the big question, right? I mean, in a world where anything digital can be copied a million times, proving you're the original author is everything. But what if you want to stay anonymous? Like a modern-day Banksy or Satoshi Nakamoto. How do you actually claim your work with total certainty while keeping your identity a secret? That's the puzzle we're going to solve today.
So here's our game plan. We're going to walk through this blueprint piece by piece. We'll start with the main idea, then we'll break down the architecture, poke around in the off-chain and on-chain parts, get into the privacy magic, and then we'll look at what all this means for the future.
Okay, let's start with the big idea. This isn't just another take on copyright. It's a brand new, cryptographically secure way for creators to put their name, or, well, not their name, on their work and solve that whole privacy problem.
So the real challenge here is this delicate balancing act. You need an unbreakable mathematical link between a creator and their work, but at the same time, you have to make sure that link doesn't leak any personal info. It's all about getting verification and privacy to work together, which historically has been almost impossible.
So how does this thing actually work under the hood? Well, let's take a look at the architecture. It's actually got a really clean design, built on 3 layers that all talk to each other.
At the highest level, the system just flows from left to right. It all starts with the front end, what the user sees. Then it moved to a powerful off-chain engine that does all the heavy lifting, and it all ends up on the Solana blockchain, which acts as the permanent public record. Let's dig into what each of these layers actually does. So, breaking that down, Step 1, you've got the front end. That's the dashboard you interact with. Step 2 is the off-chain powerhouse. Think of it as the engine room where all the real work gets done. And Step 3 is the final stop, the Solana blockchain, which is the unchangeable public source of truth for everyone.
All right, let's dive into that engine room. This is where you, the user, actually interact with the system, and it's where all the complex, brainy work happens before anything ever gets sent to the blockchain.
So on the front end, if you're a creator, you get this really simple command center. From your author dashboard, you can use the license issuer to grant people permission to use your work. And then anyone else can use the license verifier to quickly check if a license is legit. It's a nice, clean window into a really powerful system.
Now, behind that simple interface, you've got these back-end services doing all the work. When a creator registers a new piece, that register command kicks in. When they issue a license takes over. And most importantly, when it's time to prove you own something privately, the prove command starts up all the cryptographic magic.
And that brings us to the absolute heart of this whole thing, zero-knowledge proofs. This is where it gets wild. This tech lets you prove you know a secret without ever revealing the secret itself.
Okay, here's a great way to think about it. Imagine you want to prove to your friend that you have the key to a locked box, but you don't want to actually show them the key. A zero-knowledge proof is like a magic trick where you open the box for them, but they never see the key. They're now 100% sure you have it, but they learned absolutely nothing about what the key looks like. That's the big idea here.
Okay, so this is how the system pulls off that magic trick. It separates data into 2 buckets. The public inputs are the things everyone can see. The author's public key, the licensee's public key, and something called a policy commitment, which is just a fingerprint of the license rules. But the private witness, that holds all the secrets. The full license details, the author's signature, the licensee's private key, all the good stuff. The ZK proof connects these 2 worlds without ever showing what's on the private side. So let's just hammer this point home. The proof reveals just enough to be useful and absolutely nothing more. Anybody can check and see that a certain author is connected to a policy, and a certain licensee is connected to that same policy. But all the sensitive details, the license terms, the actual signature, the private keys, they stay completely hidden. That is the real power of this whole setup. So after that private proof gets created off-chain, there's one last step. You have to make it publicly verifiable. And for that, we turn to the last layer in our architecture, the on-chain program running on Solana. And you might be asking, why even bother with a blockchain? Well, it's because it acts like a global, decentralized notary public. Once a record of authorship or a verified proof is on the blockchain, it's there forever. It can't be changed or deleted. So anyone, anywhere in the world can check it and trust that it's real without having to rely on some central company or server that could disappear tomorrow. So the on-chain program, the smart contract, it has a few key jobs. Register authorship is what creates that first permanent claim on the blockchain.
Then, attach license lets you link a new license to that original work. And finally, verify is the public auditor. It takes one of those zero-knowledge proofs and checks it against the public record to confirm that everything is legit.
Okay, so we've walked through the entire blueprint, but this is more than just a neat technical idea. It's really a building block for a totally new way to manage our digital lives online. So let's take a look at where this is all headed.
I mean, the possibilities this opens up are just huge. You could link these private authorship proofs directly to NFT mints. You could set up royalty deals where everyone can see the percentage splits, but the identities of who gets paid are kept private. This could lead to real, trustless digital property rights or even get integrated into bigger decentralized identity systems. You could create complex legal agreements, all with this layer of ZK privacy built in.
And that really leaves us with one final big question. This blueprint is about authorship, yeah? But the technology underneath it all, the ability to prove something is true without giving away your data, that's a total game changer. It makes you wonder, what else could we rebuild if we had the power to prove things without having to reveal our secrets?